Hey, what's up, everybody? Just wanted to get on here today and do a reading of the Passover story, which we find in Exodus 12. Passover is one of the most important events, not only in Hebrew history but in world history. It's the night when God brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, out of their slavery, and in the same way, He's going to bring His people out of this world and the destruction that's coming upon it. And Passover is this evening, the evening of the 8th going into the 9th is the beginning of Passover. So happy Passover if you're celebrating Passover. Enjoy and honor this time. Set apart as holy to our God, because it's all about Him. Nothing about us or anything we do, anything we're doing with this celebration, with this obedience. It's all about Him. Now let's go. Now Yahuwah said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall be the beginning of months for you. It is to be the first month of the year to you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th of this month, they are to each one take a lamb for themselves, according to their father's households, a lamb for each household. Now if the household is too small for a lamb, then he and his neighbor nearest to his house are to take one according to the number of persons in them, according to what each man should eat, and you are to divide the lamb. Your lamb shall be an unblemished male, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month, which is Passover. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel is to kill it at twilight." So the Passover lamb was to be killed at twilight. "Moreover, they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it," which is symbolic of the blood of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, covering us, covering our houses, because our bodies, the body speaks of our bodies as houses. And if we're covered by the blood, God will deliver us. But if we're not covered by the blood, then we're under His wrath. "They shall eat the flesh that same night, roasted with fire, and they shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs." Unleavened bread is just bread without yeast that hasn't risen. "Do not eat any of it raw or boiled at all with water, but rather roasted with fire, both its head and its legs along with its entrails. And you shall not leave any of it over until morning, but whatever is left of it until morning you shall burn with fire. Now you shall eat it in this manner, with your loins girded, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover." So they were to eat this meal ready to go. And in the same way, we as believers need to be ready to go at any time. Because it just may be, as we're going to see in this Exodus story, the angel of death came at midnight and his people were delivered. But in the same way, we need to be ready to go at all times. For Jesus said, You do not know when the Son of Man is coming. For I will go through the land of Egypt on that night, and I will strike down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgments. I am Yahuwah. The firstborn. See, first it's Pharaoh, who was killing all the firstborn of the Hebrews. And also, when we look forward to what's about to happen, we're in the other way around. We're going to be delivered. We, as the firstborn, as the first fruits to God, we're going to be delivered. Those of us who are ready, those of us who have oil in our lamps, meaning we're walking in the Spirit. We're putting to death sin and walking in God's ways. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you live. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. In the same way, God passes over us, spares us from his wrath, if we have the blood covering of Jesus Christ. So the question is, do you have that blood covering? If you're watching this message, if you're listening to this message and you don't have that blood covering, you haven't accepted the free gift of God. Accept it, call out to Jesus. Yeshua, his name in Hebrew. And he will deliver you. The blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you live. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. And no plague will befall you to destroy you when I strike the land of Egypt. Now this day will be a memorial to you, and you shall celebrate it as a feast to Yahuwah. Throughout your generations, you were to celebrate it as a permanent ordinance. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, but on the first day you shall remove all the leaven from your houses. For whoever eats anything leavened from the first day until the 7th day, that person shall be cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall have a holy assembly, and another holy assembly on the 7th day. No work at all shall be done on them, except what must be eaten by every person. That alone may be prepared for you, by you. So, the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a 7-day feast where you were to get rid of all the leaven out of your house, which represents the sin, getting all the sin out of our house, out of our bodies, out of our lives. And Passover is at the beginning, the first evening, first day of unleavened bread. You shall also observe the feast of unleavened bread. For on this very day I brought your hosts out of the land of Egypt. See, we're supposed to memorialize it, observe it as a memorial. And a foreshadowing of what is to come. Therefore you shall observe this day throughout your generations as a permanent ordinance. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. 7 days there shall be no leaven found in your houses. For whoever eats what is leavened, that person shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel. So if we eat what is leavened, if we go to that sin, if we live in that sin, if we willingly sin, we can be cut off, as it says here. Whether he is an alien or a native of the land, you shall not eat anything leavened. In all your dwellings you shall eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for the elders of Israel and said to them, Go and take for yourselves lambs according to your families, and slay the Passover lamb. You shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood which is in the basin, and apply some of the blood that is in the basin to the lintel and to the two doorposts. And none of you shall go outside the door of his house until morning. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he sees the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts, the Lord, Yahuwah, will pass over that door and will not allow the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. And you shall observe this event as an ordinance for you and to your children forever. When you enter the land which the Lord will give you, as he has promised, you shall observe this rite. And when your children say to you, What does this rite mean to you? You shall say, It is a Passover sacrifice to Yahuwah, who passed over the houses of the sons of Israel in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians, but spared our homes. And in the same way, anyone who is not covered by the blood is going to get smoked. Is going to feel the wrath of God, which is you don't even want to imagine. But spared our homes. And like I said, the homes represent our bodies, or our us. And the people bowed low and worshipped. Then the sons of Israel went and did so, just as Yahuwah had commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. Now it came about at midnight that the Lord struck all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne, to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. Pharaoh arose in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was no home where there was not someone dead. And in the prophecies, when it talks about the day of the Lord, when this day comes, it says there's going to be dead bodies in every place. Then he called for Moses and Aaron at night and said, Rise up, get out from among my people, both you and the sons of Israel, and go, worship Yahuwah, as you have said. Take both your flocks and your herds, as you have said, and go, and bless me also. The Egyptians urged the people to send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We will all be dead. So the people took their dough before it was leavened, with their kneading bowls bound up in their clothes on their shoulders. Now the sons of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, for they had requested from the Egyptians articles of silver and articles of gold and clothing. And in the same way, I don't have it pulled up here, but there's a prophecy that mentions the spoil of Babylon, that his people, when this coming rescue occurs, are going to be given the spoil, the clothes of Babylon, of the rich of this earth. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so they let them have their request. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. Now the sons of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, aside from children. A mixed multitude also went up with them, along with flocks and herds and a very large number of livestock. And just like we have the sons of Israel and a mixed multitude, which is Israelis and Egyptians and probably other people, we have the same thing in the end time. We have the 144,000 Israeli men And we have the body of Christ, which is a mixed multitude of all people. They baked the dough which they had brought out of Egypt into cakes of unleavened bread, for it had not become leavened, since they were driven out of Egypt and could not delay. Just like when this day comes, there's no delay. There's no more time to repent. When this day comes, this day comes. There's no time to change your life last second. You got to be ready. Because they could not delay, nor had they prepared any provisions for themselves. And which is also the same thing with the when Judah flees to the abomination of desolation. They can't delay. They have to just go. Now the time that the sons of Israel had lived in Egypt was 430 years. And at the end of the 430 years, to the very day, all the hosts of Yahuwah went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be observed for Yahuwah for having brought them out of the land of Egypt. This night is for Yahuwah, to be observed by all the sons of Israel throughout their generations. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the ordinance of the Passover. No foreigner is to eat of it, but every man's slave purchased with money, after you have circumcised him, then he may eat of it. A sojourner or a hired servant may not eat of it." So, just like we see in the parables. First off, you have to be circumcised, which is circumcised of heart, to be able to eat of this Passover meal, which is a foreshadowing of the wedding supper of the Lamb. You have to be circumcised of heart. A hired servant shall not eat of it. Jesus said, the hired man, the hired servant, sees the wolf coming and flees. So they're not going to be found worthy. It is to be eaten in a single house. You are not to bring forth any flesh outside of the house, nor are you to break any bone of it, which is a foreshadowing of Yeshua. Not a bone of his was broken, which is prophesied in, I believe, a few places. Psalm 22, I believe, is one. All the congregation of Israel are to celebrate this. But if a stranger sojourns with you and celebrates the Passover to Yahuwah, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near to celebrate it. And he shall be like a native to the land. And in the same way, we're grafted in if we come to faith. Once we come to faith in Messiah, which is Jesus Christ, we're grafted into the tree. We're grafted into the olive tree, which is the house of Israel. And that's what we see a picture of here. But no uncircumcised person may eat of it. Got to be born again. The same law shall apply. And I'm speaking of in terms of the foreshadow. The same law shall apply to the native as to the stranger who sojourns among you. Then all the sons of Israel did so. They did just as Yahuwah had commanded Moses and Aaron. And on that same day Yahuwah brought the sons of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their hosts. So this evening is Passover, a representation, a foreshadowing of our perfect Lamb of God, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, and his sacrifice for us. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, call out to him today. We're almost out of time. It just may. It could be any time. It could be any time. I believe it's going to be this year, next year. It's only a matter of time until everything happens. And many, 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 many people are going to die when this all breaks out. I pray you have a relationship with God, the Son of God. Thanks for tuning in. God bless. Shalom.